bring up this in particular subject. When it comes down to guys winning MVP since 1990, it's only 3 guys that won the MVP that wasn't top 10 in scoring. Do you know who those 3 guys were?
Who were they?
Steve Nash, Jokic, and Dirk Nowitzki. Now, what do those guys have in common? I'll let it sit there and marinate. You think about it. Now
This phenomenon proposed by a former NBA player and NBA analyst Kendrick Perkins is just one of many instances where a member of the media produces a false narrative to push an agenda. And by accrediting awards and success to things that have little to do with the award itself, the facts of the situation are often lost. And to a viewer or a listener, these false narratives may have become their truth. Hi, my name is Ferrick, and I would like to discuss 2 recent narratives that, because of the nature of the NBA media landscape, have been an unnecessary source of discussion over the past seasons. In the first clip, taken from the ESPN show called First Take, which is a sports talk show with the highest ratings as of May of 2025, Perkins is arguing his position for why he believes a player, Joel Embiid, should be the favorite for the Most Valuable Player award, over the favorite at the time, Nikola Jokic. And while this was a 2-player race all season, with both players playing and competing at a very high level, Perkins attributed Jokic's front-running to his status as a white player, and a board of voters who the majority, 80% of to be exact, are white. And within the next week after this debate, which was only 20 days before the end of the season, a season in which Jokic, once again, was the front-runner, Embiid would magically usurp and eventually win the MVP award. And while it is possible to contribute this change to the end of the season games and performances, there is no denying that directly after making this comment on such a highly regarded platform, the direction of the race changed significantly. The playoffs will only serve to further solidify this truth, as Embiid will have one of the greatest falls in production for an MVP winner ever, while Jokic would not only rise to the occasion, but would also win the NBA championship in the progress. The argument against Perkins was summed up by JJ Redick on the show, saying,
I want to just say something. Stephen A., I mean no offense to you, and I mean no offense to First Take, because I think this show is extremely valuable. It is an honor to be on this desk every day. It really is. But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality. The implication, what you are implying, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist, that they favor white people. You just said that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins. That is exactly what you implied. Secondly, hold on.
I did not call. I stated the facts. And you're not about to sit up.
We all know what.
As we can all see, Perkins is not, well, the greatest person to argue with. Throughout this entire conversation, Perkins essentially ignores and tries to refute JJ Redick's argument using nothing but stating the facts. And while, in this case, Redick is providing a solid argument, he will eventually not be reinstated on this show. Eventually, he does get an upgrade and becomes an NBA head coach, but for the time being, he will no longer be reinstated. This goes to solidify the fact that First Take is not only supporting these false narratives, but also trying to quell narratives that do not support the show's progress, its income, or its ratings. The second of the recent dialogues centers around LeBron James Jr., better known as Bronny James, and his entrance into the league, as well as his performances while being in the league. During the 2024 NBA offseason, where prior to, James would suffer and recover from cardiac arrest, declared for the NBA draft. And while it was not surprising to see that he would not be a top pick, his path to being a member of the Los Angeles Lakers, the team where his father and arguably the greatest player of all time, LeBron James, plays, was already carved. During the draft process, agent Rich Paul would tell other teams not to draft Bronny, and if they did, he would go to Australia. This, followed by the supporting and overconfident responses by James Sr., would cause a target to be placed on Bronny. Reporters would flock at every opportunity to put the kid's efforts down, while also using it as an opportunity to attack his father. Stephen A. Smith, the highest paid reporter and analyst of all time, would say this.
One of the top 2 or 3 players in the history of basketball, number 2 in my eyes. A treasure to the game of basketball that we should and will all miss when he is gone. I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this.
And while Stephen A. Smith is not the greatest reporter in the world, as his motivations and impact have come into question in recent years, his position and comments still remain. Here, Smith actively attacks James Sr. on behalf of his son, asking him not as an analyst, but as a father, to stop forcing this lifestyle onto Bronny. This is outside of his job and job description, yet he feels the need to weigh in his opinion. This would in turn net Smith a stern talking to in the middle of a close game between the Lakers and the New York Knicks, where LeBron confronted Smith before heading to his team's huddle.
LeBron James was seen confronting and having some words for Stephen A. Smith during a timeout at the Lakers vs. Knicks game.
Smith would then retreat to behind the screen, where he would continue his attack on the James family. However, the biggest issue with this situation is that it should not be anywhere close to the top of discussion in the NBA, let alone the NBA rookies. Bronny is the 55th pick in the NBA draft, and while he has certainly played somewhat better than the standards set by others picked at that position, many of which who fell out of the league and or never played a game, he is still number 55. To continuously discuss his behavior and his inability is simply malpractice, when there are other rookies such as Stephon Castle of the San Antonio Spurs or Zachary Ricochet of the Atlanta Hawks, 2 of the top picks, where the media's attention will be better suited for. As a result, Bronny comes off as a top rookie, getting the most attention from the media. Once again, the NBA media is caught pushing a narrative that overall hinders the reputation of the game and the reception of the game for both fans and players alike. But what is the solution? How do you possibly fix a situation that is generating even more revenue than ever before? The members of the NBA should be held accountable for the narratives they push, as well as the damage dealt to their reputations by the claims they make. In a recent interview with McAfee, LeBron said this regarding NBA reporters. Too many years went by when players did not have an opportunity to speak and their voices to be heard or allowed the narrative to get so much outside of sports. And we're taking it to that point because people have gotten too comfortable, especially with our sport. It has gotten too comfortable where, back in the day, for sure, you would never bring up Charles Oakley's brother. Yeah, Charles Oakley would have smacked you through his brother, Maxwell. They got to the point where they knew, these guys can't really do anything to us anymore because that would be a fine, suspension, or, don't embarrass the league. This is
we
an
don't give a
accurate
damn what
assessment
you don't want
of
to
the
hear.
NBA media.
Number one.
If
Number
there is a
two.
little something
So the
harm
only thing I want to hear from Dwight Howard is that speech he's going to give at the Hall of Fame, which, by the way, he deserves. Congratulations to him. He deserves 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. That brother deserves it. I'm very, very happy for him. But we ain't going to get caught up in this. Listen, first of all,